Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to our TokiTV show, our gathering each and every week for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut, where we're here in faith and in education, and we have good stuff for you guys today. Let's do some quick hellos, and then we'll get ourselves centered. Deb Cruz.
Ah!
Deb on the clock.
Out trying to enjoy the glorious weather that we've been having the last couple of days. And Tuesday's kind of a big day for us because our Whatcom County Council is going to be voting on a resolution to acknowledge the rights of the southern resident orcas. So it's been kind of trying to get that up and running and going in the right direction. So good to be here. Glad you're all here.
Deborah, how are you?
Adjusting to high vibes. It takes a little while after the week we've had. So thank you, Ocean Sun. Good vibes.
All good stuff. And Stephanie and Casey, how are you?
We are awesome. And yes, it's been such a busy week, and it was so fun to see Ocean Sun so many times. So we're very grateful for that. So excited to talk to Michael for sure.
Yay. Alejandro.
I'm so happy to be here. And, just let's bring my auntie to the screen. Thank you, everybody, for showing our TokiTV show.
All right, then.
We need to break the ice, We need to break the ice, We need to see the people smiling.
Ma, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Very hot, stormy Orlando, but lots of rain, and I know it's the same in Miami, so Toki should be enjoying the cooler rain, thank goodness.
Awesome. And Howard, how are you today?
Real good, thanks. Just enjoying this great weather and soaking up all the excitement from the parade and from seeing 25 Ocean Sun and all the whales out there. I'm vicariously there with you, so appreciate hearing all about it.
Awesome. Christina?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be here and find out any information that we can about our beloved friends under the sea. From Michael. So thanks for coming. I appreciate you. And how are you, Annette?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you. Just a lot of energy from the week, and just a lot of energy in general from everything happening. And we had Casey and Stephanie going live a lot in the last week from the Salish Sea and sharing some videos. And so, Michael, I just want to say thank you for agreeing to be with us on such short notice. I know it's been an incredible week for you. I'd like to see how you're feeling today before we get ourselves centered.
Thanks for having me on. Not a problem at all. I'm feeling all right. I'm tired. It's been big couple weeks, but feeling good. Feeling really positive about Southern residents this year so far. So doing well.
Really, really awesome. Well, if it works for you guys, because the energy is so high, I kind of want to just get ourselves centered a little bit. And I think the best way to do that is just really, Shirley Bob has graciously given us permission to share some of her songs, and that she has gone and done with ceremony with Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. And so while we're honoring her family today and honoring her, I think a good way to start would be to play Shirley Bob's song, which is entitled Look at Me. This is who I am. And so if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes, and let's just get ourselves in the space to talk about her family. Here we go. All right, thank you. Quickest way to get myself centered by far. So thank you. Michael, what have you been up to this week?
Well, let me think. So this past week, and actually starting a bit before into the week before, we were really lucky to have J-Pod and the L12s come into our study area here in the San Juan Islands. So on the night of the 29th, I believe it was, we knew that whales were coming in, and that was very exciting, but I kind of assumed it was just going to be J-Pod. So I went to the west side and started taking pictures, and a couple whales came in the kelp, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's L25 and L85. Guess the L12s are here, which is exciting both because I don't get to see them much. It's been a while since I've actually gotten to see them, and also because we knew, or we thought there was at least one new kid with the L12 subgroup because we had pictures off to female. So the next day, on the 30th, we went up to the Strait of Georgia following that group of whales. And we were able to find them up by Point Roberts, found J-Pod and the L12s, and got on scene and, found L25, found L22. So that was really good to know that they were both there. And then we saw a group with a little kid bouncing around in it. And we're like, oh, okay, there's the kid. We got over. It's like, oh, well, it's not with the same whales that the pictures off Tofino had the calf with. And it doesn't really look like the same calf. I think this is a new calf. We think this is a second calf. It started out with L113, but wasn't really syncing up with her. It wasn't in echelon position. It wasn't surfacing with her. And then L94 came by, and the calf just fell right in with her. And so it became clear that that was mom and L113's older sister. So yeah, spending some time with that group, we then, we kind of decided the only way to really confirm that this is a second calf is to go find who we thought was the mother of the other calf. So we went and found L119 in the group, and she was in this big social group of J's and L's. And sure enough, she also had a little kid in tow. So yeah, 2 new kids in L-Pod, L126 and L127. And then we spent a few more days out on the water with them. And then on the 3rd, we got some drone footage of the L94 matriline, which we have, I sent up, and it's queued up. We could maybe now would be a nice time to play it, where we were able to actually confirm that L127 is female, which is really good news for the southern residents. I mean, every new female we get is really, really special. Yeah, I don't know if I need to play the video or not.
I can be ready for it.
Yeah. It's, there's not much more information-wise in the video, but I think it's good to see kind of how we are able to see this. So yeah, this is from the 3rd, and this is L94, and I think actually 121, and yeah, 127. There's L94 on the side there. That's mom. And yeah, this calf was spending about as much time upside down as she was spending right side up, making it really easy to figure out what her sex was, which, yeah, it's kind of hard to see as the video is playing, and it's a little bit pixelated, but you can see that her underside, kind of her ventral markings are nice and round, and the genital slit's kind of right in the middle of that round marking, and that's how you can identify females. And she was super social with her family. She was having, seems to really enjoy being a whale, which is really good to see. She's active. She looks, as far as we can tell, looks healthy so far. Mom looks good. Active and social little whale. We've got high hopes. Obviously, this first year of life is challenging, and not without its dangers for these guys. But yeah, we have high hopes for her. Oh yeah, I forgot there's poop in this video. Sorry, for those of constitutions. L94 did a bit of a poo. Yeah, and then the next day after this video, we actually went out again as J-Pod was coming back down from up north. They met up with the L12s off of Henry Island, and we spent some time with that group after they met up. They were, anytime two groups of killer whales meet up, it's kind of a party. There's a lot of socializing that happens, a lot of rolling around, and we were able to get some shots of the underside of L126 and confirm that that's a male. L126 is a male, which again, we hope for females, but I won't balk at any new killer whale in the group. I think he's going to be, he's going to be a cool whale to have around. He's got an open saddle. No idea who Dad is, but I wouldn't doubt it's like J26 or someone, someone with an open saddle. And at least at that point, yeah, he was also being social and active and rolling around on Mom's nose. So, yeah, both kids are looking good. And we just had a couple researchers today, right before I was picking one of them up, come back from working out west, where they were surveying basically everyone in the southern residence. It'll take a few days for us to go through all the photos and tot up who all we have out there. But all three pods were out there, and there's no one. I can say there's no one we're yet worried about being missing. So I don't know that we've documented everyone, but there's no one yet who we're worried about. That can always change. We haven't finished the census yet, but for right now, things are looking good. Things are looking good.
That's really awesome. How long had it been since you guys had seen the subgroup?
When did we last see the L12s? That's a really good question. It's been a while. I can probably check real quick, but
okay.
It's been months and months.
I thought it was like January, but
yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a long time. And for me personally, it's been years because I haven't been out here during those periods when they've been here. I've only just finally gotten on San Juan Island permanently. I've been going back and forth for a while. So yeah, it's been years for me personally since I've seen the L12s. They're such a great group. I love that group.
Yeah.
So awesome. So last time we had you on, you had just taken on the title of director for Central Whale Research Director. How long has that been?
So I think we announced that last May or late May. So yeah, about a year now as research director. Kind of been juggling two jobs for a while, finishing up my postdoc in the UK while also kind of doing at least the admin duties of research director when I can. I was finishing my workday in the UK and doing my 8 hours and then doing a couple hours of CWR stuff afterwards. And now I just have one job, which is very exciting to only have the one job. Yeah, things are going well. Obviously, it's a huge, challenging transition period. Not having Ken around anymore, I think there's a lot of organizational stuff and a lot of just contacts and knowledge that missing Ken has been difficult. And I think there's also for all of us just the emotional thing. We finished that encounter with finding the two calves, and all Dave and I could talk about is how much we wish we were could have called Ken at the end of that encounter. Of course, the first thing he probably would have said is, "Oh, great! Did you get the sexes yet?" Yeah, so it's a weird period, but I think things are going well. Things are running smoothly here at the center. We've made really good progress on our census this year, and we look forward to keeping going for many decades to come.
That's awesome. And I'm going to get ready to drop some links here for the folks in a little while for your guys' Facebook page and also for your YouTube channel, because the encounters that you guys put up and share there from the website and on YouTube are just beautiful. And so if anyone's just wanting to check in, you should definitely do that. Howard, how are you feeling about all the sightings this last week?
Well, feeling very excited, sharing all the joys of this encounter. Also curious, from the drone footage, did you see any foraging or especially any food sharing? Was there any chance that either of the moms is starting their kids on any solid food yet?
That's a great question, and that's what we were hoping to see. They're definitely foraging out there, and I'm sure they are catching fish. We haven't seen any chasing fish at the surface, and we haven't seen any sharing yet. We didn't have a super long encounter with them that evening. So we haven't observed directly any prey catching or prey sharing. But on the flip side, when we see them, they're acting like well-fed whales. They're being active and social, and they don't really do that if they're not eating well. They kind of are more all business.
Uh-huh.
So while we haven't directly seen it, because we really only had the one evening of drone encounters with the L-12s, they're definitely, they stuck down there for a few days on the south side of the island, and so I'm sure they were catching fish, and then afterwards they're acting like they have been catching fish. The kids are probably only around 3 to 4 months old, we think. I'm sure they're showing interest in solid food. We've seen really young calves show interest in solid food, but I would be surprised if it was a huge part of their diet yet at this point. They're going to be nursing for another year, at least. So, they're still quite young. I mean, they're not brand new pink wrinkly babies, but they're still quite little.
Did they stay right glued beside their moms, or did they stray a little bit now and then?
Yeah, so I was just talking to Dave, who got back from out west, and he was saying L126 was spending a lot of time with L22. So he's kind of breaking off and doing stuff. And L127, she kind of bounces back and forth between her mom and her sister. So, when she's with mom, she's glued right to mom, but mom will dive down and forage, and she'll kind of play around with her older sister for a while.
Right.
So they're both showing signs that they're, building those other important social relationships already, which I think is good. You kind of want to see them at this age, maybe a little more glued to mom, but, in general, I think it's a good sign when they are forming these other relationships that are going to be so important for the rest of their life.
Right.
So
cool.
How old are the moms, Michael?
So L119 is, I believe, 11 years old, and L94, let me just make sure I get this right. She was born in 95, and this is her third kid. So she's an experienced mom. L119, she's only 11. This is her first kid. So she's less experienced, but she, L119 has a sibling. She's got her mom still around. So the kid's got a grandma. And we've seen whales younger than that have calves successfully. J41 was only 9 years old when she had her first calf. And that calf is J51, who's, still around and starting to almost look like he might start thinking about sprouting in the next few years. He looks good and active, and she's had another one since, she's at J58. So she's young, but she's not too young, I don't think, necessarily, and she's got support.
That's awesome.
Maybe you could tell us what sprouting means for...
Oh, yeah, sorry. When males hit puberty, their dorsal fin starts growing, and J51's not there yet. He's only 8 years old, but he's starting to look, he's almost looking bigger than his mom at this point. So he might be a slightly early bloomer, I hope. I think I would like to see him grow big and tall soon. Not too soon, but soon. So yeah, when they hit puberty, we call them sprouters because there's this very clear kind of between period between the males kind of just looking like females with the curved fin, and then on the other side they look like full adult males with the perfectly tall straight fin, and in the middle they have this awkward phase where they're kind of wobbly and just starting to grow.
Right. And about what age did they get to full height?
About 21, we think, is about when they hit maximum height. There's variation between individuals, we found, but anywhere between like 18 and 25, they stop growing. And there's also a lot of variation in when they start. Like K38, how old is he now? He's almost 20 years old. and he is barely sprouting. Whereas, you know, J38's only a year older than him, and he's looking nearly full grown.
Right.
So there's a lot of variation between the individuals.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. Deborah was asking you earlier. Deborah, do you want to re-ask your question?
My question was, how are they doing the best identifying? Like, I thought maybe they were getting it all from the drones with modern technology, but I will let Michael tell you guys what the answer was.
Yeah, so we do use drones. We do identify individuals in the drone videos, but for our survey, we actually almost entirely rely on side photographs. And there's a few reasons behind that. One is the side photographs are a little higher definition. We can use a zoom lens and get a bit closer than we can with the drone, really, and get really high definition pictures of the side of each side of the whale. It also helps us stay more or less consistent with the way we've been doing the survey since 1976, which means that the data set stays comparable. And also because we then use these photos to make a catalog that we give to other researchers and naturalists to help identify the whales. And obviously they're all seeing the whales from the side. So having the side photographs is really helpful for that. So yeah, Orca survey is done entirely really through going out on a small 21-foot boat and taking pictures of the whales from the side, the same way it's been done the whole time. The drones, you know, we've got identifying the whales from the drone down pretty well. We can definitely ID them consistently from the drone. But that's a lot easier if you also have really high definition pictures of the whales from the boat to compare, because the drone has a little less detail. Yeah. So we're still, you know, new technology's coming in and we use it where we can, but we still stay fairly old school with a lot of the other things we do.
I can give an example of those ID shots from the 2021 catalog. That's not exactly like a screen share of a real photo ID shot, but you know, those are L12s a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Would you happen to have any that are accessible that you could share with us? Any?
Oh yeah, I can share some ID shots. Let me pull some of the shots we have. Let me just open up some ID folders. So the way we do it is we take, you know, hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 shots per encounter, and then we pull at least one shot of each individual that we identified into kind of individual specific folders. So then for each year, we have a folder for each individual that tells us every single day that we encountered them. We can build a really good kind of picture. So let me I'll just pull up L94s. Here we go. Then I can screen share. Screen share. Window. Window. Cool. There we go. Yeah, so, you know, this is the kind of shot we get. This one has a little bit of dorsal fin shadow there, so it's not, you know, the catalog shot. But that's what we're looking for, is the dorsal fin and the saddle patch. And we want to get them from both sides. So obviously, you know, L94's right side is a lot different from her left. So we need to get both sides. And we get them from a few different angles because it helps us assess health. So if we kind of get a sense for what their body shape is, if there's a change in that body shape, we kind of know something's changed. But also it helps us ID them from weird angles, such as the drone, or, you know, if we have a distant photo of a whale that that's the only picture we managed to get of them that day, having a few different angles on record helps us continue to match them. And yeah, that's kind of, you know, cropped and zoomed in. That's kind of our ideal picture, really, is you get basically the entire saddle patch on one side, no shadow or glare on it, and you can see the outline of the dorsal fin as well as some rakes and scratches. I don't think you can see my mouse, but you can see on her back, she has these tooth rake marks, which is from other killer whales. It could be aggression or it could just be play. We don't really know how they get them, but they're definitely from other whales. I will stop sharing.
Thank you. There's a couple good questions here that I want to see if you don't mind answering. So Russell wanted to know, what is the dorsal fin composed of? Is it cartilage?
Yeah, it's just various connective tissue. There's no bone or anything in it. So I think the folks kind of in this community probably are familiar with the adult male killer whales in captivity that their dorsal fin curls over. That's because it's just connective tissue, just really soft tissue that stays rigid during development as they are staying. I mean, whales in the wild are underwater most of the time, right? They might log at the surface for a bit and they come up to breathe, but they're really in essentially a zero gravity environment for most of their lives. So that fin doesn't need as much support and it can grow and become rigid. Whales in captivity spend a lot more time at the surface, so it doesn't get that support and that connective tissue can't keep it upright and it curls over. And that's the same thing. I mean, their flukes are also just made of, muscle and fibers and connective tissue. There's no bones in the fluke either.
And another question Mary's asking is, I'll put it up on the screen. So there isn't much variation in a female's dorsal fin from the time she's a calf to an adult, other than the general size?
There are some changes. So it does kind of lengthen a little bit often. It can change size quite a bit during development. Some of the really big changes you'll get are from nicks and scratches that they get. So L77, for example, has this huge kind of nick cut out about 2/3 up her dorsal fin. That's something she acquired as an adult. So yeah, it does change. The dorsal fin shape certainly changes a bit. The saddle patch will get brighter as well and may kind of change general shape, but there are features of the saddle patch, like if there's an open or a closed patch, or if it has like what we call a finger, which is that little intrusion that you sometimes see, that will stay consistent throughout their lives. So yeah, there are aspects of the shape that stay constant too. If you have a pointy fin as a calf, you're probably going to have a pointy fin as an adult. If you have a round fin as a calf, you're going to have a round fin as an adult. But it will lengthen and change size a little bit. Less dramatic in the females than in the males, but yeah.
Awesome. And Ma has a question.
Can I be really selfish, because this is my baby J46 star?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me any information when you last seen her and how she's doing?
Yeah, so I saw her on July 4th.
Cool.
I'm not sure if Mark and Dave saw her. She was certainly out there, but I'm not sure if they photographed her while they were out there. So we might have seen her as recently as yesterday. She looked fine. She's good. She's in full auntie mode at this point. She's baby obsessed. She doesn't have any super close relatives to her babies, but she's got J57, who is like a cousin, and there's the other J-pod babies, and she's full on obsessed. Especially, she really likes the baby girls, so she really likes J59. She was really obsessed with 56 for a while. She's good. She seems good.
Oh, that's great. Thanks.
That's awesome. And then go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, and I wouldn't be shocked if in the next few years she starts having kids. I hope so. She's at that age now.
Yeah, I thought so too. I kept getting the feeling that she may be. That's why I asked. But fingers crossed.
From her behavior, it seems like the maternal hormones are there. She's got the baby instinct. So maybe someday soon.
Yeah. I'll be a granny.
It's so great. And Michael, you definitely have the coolest one in the world.
Yeah, it's not bad. Any day I have to spend in the office doing admin stuff and I start feeling kind of, run down, I have to remind myself that I do also get to go out and just see how whales are doing pretty regularly. So
well, and that's what I wanted to ask. Like, what's the best part? Because I'm kind of I'm kind of a nerd, right? So I like the research part, and identifying would be really, really fun for me. But I mean, obviously, I'm guessing being out on the water, having the encounters.
Yeah, I think there's two different kinds of like wow moments I get, and one of them is definitely better than the other, but they're both good. And there's the wow moment I get sitting in front of a computer when I have some, some research question I've been asking, and I run the analysis, and I find what I think is an answer. And that's always exciting. As a scientist, that's kind of the moments we're really kind of supposed to be going for. But the other wow moments are just any time, you're coming on scene and you see those first blows, and then you get there, and they're, especially when they're social and calm and relaxed. And my favorite moments on the water, I always say this, are the moments where I get to watch killer whales being killer whales and they don't respond to us at all. It's one of the things I like about the drone, but I like it even better if we can go in and actually be doing photo ID with well-fed, happy whales who just keep doing their thing and don't react to us in any way, just being whales out in the world. And yeah, that's the best part of the job, are those special encounters where you're, with J-Pod in the middle of nowhere and they're just kind of having a little party.
That's so great. And then Taylor's asking if you could tell us about, let's say I lost it, an ocean sun update from the last encounter.
Yeah, so we might have some more updates from this recent trip out west, but the last time I saw L25 was also on July 4th. She looked good. She was exactly where you'd expect her to be, which is in the front of the group, leading everybody around, spending a lot of time with L85, who's kind of her adopted son, a little bit. She looks good. She looks solid to me. Obviously, we'll wait for more detailed data from the SR3 body condition team, who actually goes out with a different drone from us. So our drone is designed for behavioral video collection. They go out with this drone that is specifically designed to get these really detailed images of body condition, and they can get really fine scale measurements. So obviously, we'll wait for a super good update from them on her condition, but from the boat, she looked solid. She was in there socializing with everyone, and spending a lot of time with the other kind of older female in the L12s, L22, but also spending a lot of time with her adopted son, L85.
That's really great. Recently the article came out a couple weeks ago on the skin lesions found, and what's your take on that? I mean, I know it's not new. They kind of made it sound like it was new, but what's your take on all that?
Yeah, so the CWR, we provided the photos for that and helped a little bit with the analysis. My take on it is, I mean, right now we don't know what any of these lesions mean. There's been no correlation found with mortality. It doesn't seem to reduce reproductive success in the females, as far as we can tell. Obviously, sample size is limited. Some of these, like the peeliness they get, these kind of gray patchiness things, and both of the new L12 kids have it, seems to just be something that often happens to calves at around that age, and it doesn't seem to mean anything bad about their health. It's just, part of what happens. They get sunburned, they get peely, and they're usually fine. I think the lesions could, especially if we do a comparison with other populations and we find these whales have many more of these lesions than the northern residents, it could be a sign of something about the water conditions they're swimming in. It might not be a health risk in and of itself, but it could be an indication of conditions that are affecting them in other ways, if that makes sense, right? You could get itchy skin from the same thing that makes you sick. And even though the itchy skin isn't, hurting you itself, that could be a sign of something. We really, I think what the main result of that paper is that we need to do more research, right? It's one of those research projects where the main finding is more research needed. There's clearly a lot of these skin lesions and skin discolorations in these whales, but we need to know if it's significantly more than other populations using the same methods. We need more data on if it has anything to do with health and survival. And we would then, if we found those things, we would then really want to focus on what is causing these. We don't know any of those things yet.
Thank you. And then, sorry, we're like throwing all kinds of questions at you. Christina, I think you had typed in a question as well. Do you want to ask?
Oh, well, he kind of answered all of them. So I was asking about ocean sun, and then I was talking about the sprouting, but you already answered that for the females. So yeah, I did, but he's really good. So thanks.
Answering before we ask. Howard?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. They were there for 5 days, I think, the L12s, pretty consistently around the San Juans. That's an indication they found something to eat. Did you get any other confirmation, any estimates of salmon runs, or any other sign that there's fish?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of like test fishing data, the best data we have for this area is the Albion test fishery on the Fraser, which in that week did have a bit of a spike. So there is an indication that they kind of followed this kind of surge of Chinook coming in. And again, yeah, the fact that they were down there, the way they were behaving while they were down there, which is being spread out in these small subgroups, is really indicative of foraging as well. And the way they were acting just at the end of those 5 days where they're relaxed and partying, to me, looks like well-fed whales. So I think there's every reason to think for that period of time, at least, right? For that period of time, there was a lot to eat on the south, the southwest side of San Juan Island. Whether that means this year will be good, who knows? But for that week, it was a good place to be if you were a resident killer whale.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Thanks, Howard. That was kind of my question too. What a blessing that they were there for so long, because they probably hang out in similar places, but way out, right? And so to have them right there on that must have been really great for you guys in your projects.
It was great. And it's kind of classic L12 behavior, at least in years past, that we just haven't seen as much. They used to park themselves off Eagle Point for days at a time regularly, right? That used to kind of be their stomping grounds in the summer. Even the first year I came out here a decade ago, I was on the Soundwatch boat doing boater education and monitoring as a volunteer. And we spent basically every day with the L22s, which is one of the matcha lines in the L12s, just right where they were for those 5 days off Eagle Point foraging. So yeah, there's every once in a while, the things are different than they used to be with the whales movements, but every year it feels like there's something they do that reminds you of how things were. Whether it's J-Pod coming in May last year, or the L12s parking themselves off Eagle Point for a week. It's like, oh, they still remember. Like, they still remember what they used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Nice.
That's really cool. Alejandro.
I don't have any questions. Just he answered everything. So thank you for this educational information. It's very good to have this update. And I love the information about these 2 babies, about ocean sun. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. Really, really nice to be here.
We were kind of talking a little bit before we went live. How often are you guys publishing reports? I know it takes a while, so they're out there IDing now, and it's going to take a while to ID everyone. But there was some recent social media questions, about how many are there? As of last count. So
we report our census to NOAA as of July 1st. We submit how many whales we think there were alive on July 1st, but we submit that anytime before October 1st. And the reason that is if we want to know who's alive on July 1st, unless we get lucky and everybody shows up in our study area right on July 1st, we're not actually going to know for quite a while. So we some of our researchers just finished a week-long trip out west near Swisher Bank, and where they found all members of all 3 pods out there. It will take some time. We had 3 photographers out there and a lot of whales to take pictures of over multiple days. So it will take some time to be really sure that we've documented everybody and figure out who, if anyone, we still need to work on documenting next time they're in. So we hope, I hope by the end of this month, we'll have a pretty solid idea. I'll say there's, they didn't see everybody every day. There's no one that right now we would immediately say like we're worried about or is missing. No one's missing because we don't have enough days with each matriline to be, sure that they weren't just there and we didn't take photos of them, and we still need to go through all the pictures. So yeah, hopefully by the end of this month, certainly, on October 1st, we will have put in our report to the government on the annual census for the Southern residents. But probably before then, we will have a solid July 1st number for everybody.
That's awesome. And I see some people's comments. If you need to contract out with anyone for help, everyone's like, I want to do that. Cindy would be great at it, by the way. There was a report out with the emergency rule because there were 10 in poor body condition, and then possibly some lost pregnancies. Is that factual? Is that assumption? Is that...
So what that's based on, if you remember that research group I mentioned, SR3, who does the detailed morphometrics, they measure something called the eye patch ratio. So from above, they look down and they look at the eye patch of the whale, and you can kind of imagine the whale's body and the eye patches. They're measuring the distance between the top of the eye patch and the distance between the bottom. If the whale's nice and fat, that's going to be a big angle, right? If the whale's skinny, it's going to go more like that. And they then kind of standardize it for age and sex. And if you're in the bottom 20%, or maybe, bottom 20% of that ratio within your kind of age and sex, they classify them as a poor body condition vulnerable whale. So in a population of 73, right, that you expect around that many each year to be in that vulnerable class. And there is some evidence from work this research group published in 2019 that being in that bottom class does increase your risk of mortality. Still, most whales in that class don't die within the year or even the next year, but whales in that class seem to have a heightened risk compared to whales who aren't in that class. So yeah, that is all factual information. That is all information that's based on research they've done. It doesn't mean all of those whales are, imminently on the way out. We haven't identified any of those whales as having peanut head, which is really severe emaciation, right? That's when we can actually see it from the boat, as they've lost the fat behind their head. And so you can actually see where the head connects to the body. We call that peanut head. That's a sign of a whale that's doing quite poorly. And we haven't seen much of that. So we definitely want to keep an eye on it. Definitely something to think about, but not necessarily something where those whales are on the way out. The lost pregnancies also, that is true. J22 was pregnant and seems to have lost her pregnancy based on our observations as well. And I think there's a couple other ones. There's at least one whale that they noted who's still pregnant, which is J36 in that report. And yeah, from our observations as well from the drone, she is very pregnant, at least last time we saw her, which granted from the drone was on July 1st. So over a week, but we'll be doing regular baby checks on her. So when we get a chance, we'll be checking to see if she's got a calf with her. Last time we saw her, she didn't, but we'll keep checking and obviously wait for SR3 to tell us if she's lost a pregnancy. But yeah, all of the information about the lost pregnancies, I think someone commented this, I saw it pop up, all the information about the lost pregnancies and the whales in poor body condition was reported by SR3 to WDFW, and WDFW published all that information as an emergency order, and that's all publicly available online.
Awesome. Thank you. And that was Heather Nicholson that posted that. So thanks for sharing that info as well, Heather. Just want to remind people, whaleresearch.com, that's the website for Center for Whale Research. Great place to go and stay informed and see all the stuff that they're up to. Are you guys still fundraising for that boat?
We are currently fundraising for a new boat. So we've been, for the last several years, I mean, we've always done our work from Boston Whalers, which are these great fiberglass hull boats that are basically unsinkable, but they, they're not the most modern. We currently are working out of a 1981 model Boston Whaler. So we are fundraising for a new vessel that's a little more modern, a little more able to take us further and safer, and handle some slightly messier conditions between us and whales. Made by a local Washington company down in Bremerton, which is Lifeproof Boats. We are still fundraising for that. So we're trying to match fundraise, I believe. I'm not sure what we're up to yet, but yeah, we're trying to. We have about half of what we need, so we're trying to match fundraise about 98K. Any help with that is great. It's really, I think this is what we say on our website. It's our most important research tool are the boats. So this is going to be a 23-foot Lifeproof boat, foam collar. It's going to make it safer for our researchers. It's going to make our encounters more stable. It's going to make we can do more encounters because we can go further and in worse conditions. It's going to make life better for us, but also maybe more importantly, expand our ability to monitor and study the southern residents.
And I was trying to pull that up here just so I can get the donation, and I'll get that in the link. But if you guys go to Center for Whale Research whaleresearch.com and then go under support, you'll see a picture of the boat there, and then a quick link. Someone was asking, what can people outside of Washington State do to support the research for the southern residents? That's one way. Definitely, you can spread that link for raising funds for that boat. And any other suggestions, Michael, for folks who are not in Washington State? I mean, we're all writing the president. We're, doing everything we can for the dams. Anything else we could do to support you guys and the southern residents in salmon?
Oh, I mean, in terms of supporting us directly, obviously, public donations and public words of support are great and really, really mean a lot to us. It's really what keeps us going. In terms of supporting the southern residents, obviously donating to research hopefully will help the southern residents. Writing the president and working on the dam issue is really important. I would also say, we can always think bigger as well. I often talk about how, the dams and the river-specific habitat restoration is absolutely crucial to make sure the whales have enough food in the short term. We need to do that to buy these whales time. But in the grand scheme of things, also, we've got to think about global warming. We've got to think about the fact that the oceans and the rivers are getting hotter, because that's the end game, right? In the short term, we need to make sure that we get all the fish we can to the whales as soon as possible. And that means removing dams, that means restoring rivers, that means restoring seagrass habitat. But in the long term, that's all going to be a stopgap that won't mean much if the rivers are too hot for salmon to spawn, if the ocean is too warm for them to survive, if the ecosystem collapses because the world has changed too much too quickly. So anything you can do to kind of address that, which is includes, obviously there's the individual choices around how you burn fossil fuels and where you give your money and your support, but also, thinking about that political action, political actions and political decisions geared towards addressing climate change on a systemic level are also going to be ways you can be helping ourselves and the southern residents.
Thank you. And I was not ignoring you guys as I'm typing on my phone. I was trying to get the link so I could put it up here to the direct link for the PayPal for the boat. And then also there's Christina put on there where you could become a monthly member as well. There's a link to do that. But definitely want to support you guys. So if you're on Facebook, the link is there. You can just straight click on it. If you're on YouTube, send me a message and I will send you the direct link if you would like me to, because we support and we just appreciate everything you guys do. I mean, they're so near and dear to all of our hearts, and just, thank you for your guys' time and effort and whatever we can do to help.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that support, feeling that support from the public, from you all, and from the folks watching, and just generally from the public is huge for us. I think we can often get kind of stuck in when you're studying an endangered, declining population, I think it's really easy to become kind of jaded and a little bit down. So having that public support is actually is huge for us. So really appreciate it.
We'll keep sharing that. We'll do a TokiTV post or a live with Alejandro, because everybody loves and follows Alejandro. But I think that the residents being there this past week has really, it's given a lot of hope too. Just seeing Ocean Sun and the energy and the excitement of having them around. I think now is a good time to remind people that they can still help and support all that you guys are doing. So Michael, thank you. I can't thank you enough. Honestly, I can't. We'll go around and see if there's any, someone's asking that they'll be there in a couple of weeks. Is there anything they can do while they're there? Is there anything they can do to help you guys while they're there?
Oh, great question. Swing by the education center in Friday Harbor. You'll learn a lot, you'll have a good time, and you can talk there about, potentially becoming a member or making donations, opportunities for volunteer, education stuff. So yeah, I think the first step, pop into the education center, the Orca Outreach Education Center in Friday Harbor, right by the ferry landing. And you can learn all about what we're doing and ways you can help.
I was so bummed when I was there in May, and I was running around the island for the day, and I was like, oh, we got to stop by. And I went at like 4:10 and it closed at 4. And I was like,
oh,
yeah.
It's open until 5 in the summer season now. So
Okay, good. Thank you. Deb Cruz, do you have any last questions or anything you'd like to say?
No, but yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for you and your team for doing this work. Okay. And letting us know. And at the beginning, it was like I was sitting here getting all caught up on the cousins and the aunts and the uncles. And it was just so cool. So thank you very much for doing that.
Oh, of course. I mean, we all do it because we love it, and we all feel the same, I think, about these whales when we go out. It is like catching up with the family, with the extended family every time. It's like, oh, look who's hanging out. Oh, everyone's looking good. So yeah, no, of course, I love talking whales anytime.
That's awesome. Stephanie and Casey?
First of all, thank you, Michael. And we were there. We're back in Minnesota now. We have 1 foot here and 1 foot there. But we were there for all 5 days that the L12s were showing up. And it was like, we've been coming there for 27 years since she was 6, right? So it was like the old days, right? Because they were always around and they looked good and the babies were rolling around and they were just having such a good time. And it's just so great to hear you say that you think they all looked really good too. So, and thank you for everything that you do, for sure. Nice guy.
Thank you.
Alejandro?
Just thank you, Michael, for your dedication, passion, all the information you just shared with us. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work. You have our support.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot, and you're very welcome.
Deborah?
I just parrot what everybody says. Thank you, Michael. I was fortunate enough to get to spend one sunset evening with Stephanie and Casey, and it is truly life altering. It was on my bucket list of a dream come true, and to see them out there, and you described that what I thought I was seeing was healthy whales that were just happy to be a whale, because it's what it felt like they were just like, this is cool, we'll hang out. It was, thank you for validating that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Ma?
Yeah, I parrot everything that everybody's already said, but I just wanted to say they are our family. So hearing this information it makes my heart sing. It's so great. But also what you said about the environment is so important. And obviously breaching the dams, our choices affect the whales. So, buy organic and look where you spend your money. And President Biden until he can't do anything else but breach the dams. But thank you. Thanks for all the information, and especially about my star.
Thank you.
Christina.
Yeah, what everybody else said. I mean, thank you guys. I appreciate your work so much. It means so much to me. I've been a member for over 10 years and I will continue to be. You'll have my full support for whatever you need. We're gonna breach those dams. They're going down this year, and that's what's gonna happen. And then it's gonna be like the old days when they all come all the time, So that's my vision, and thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you.
So awesome. And Howard.
Well, just a really big thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you coming on. It's always really good to hear from you and to give us this look into how the whales are doing, what they're doing, and all about them. It's just, it warms my heart and everybody else's. So thanks for coming on.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, no, it's really nice to be back. I had a great time last time and more good questions this time. So yeah, really good.
You're always welcome. I mean, anytime you have just some news that just needs to get out there. I mean, just shoot me or Howard a message and we'll get you on here to share it because we love it. You're talking to probably one of the most grateful groups ever because I was going to say the same thing. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. And the audience just, we're all here for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut. We're on this journey with her and we love her and we love her family and, just this deep love and caring for the ocean and our inhabitants. And so everything that you do on a daily basis, Michael, thank you. That really is a dream job. And I know I've said that before and just you do it so well. So thank you for who you are and who you're being for the residents. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, it's very sweet. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Any final words from you before we say goodbye?
No, I will just, I'll echo all of your gratitude back at all of you. Thank you very much for having me on and for your interest and support and curiosity. It's always good to talk to folks who actually are interested in what you're saying and aren't just kind of listening passively. So thank you all very much. This was great. Yeah. And I hope that we can get you all that census count as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. And I lied. We're not saying bye. We're saying farewell. We're going to close with Shirley Bob's song. It's the farewell song that she sings to Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut when she goes there. And again, just a reminder, folks, keep supporting I'm going to say it. Alejandro says it better, though. I'm going to actually just unmute Alejandro so he can tell you all to keep supporting the One True process. Alejandro?
Oh, yeah. Just keep supporting this process and encourage everyone. If not, my finger is here, you know what I'm going to do. You can guess what's going to happen to you. That's all. Follow Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut.org, Orca Network, Weiss to the project. Michael Weiss, he's doing an amazing job. And trust this process is the only one that we take TokiTV Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut back home in 2003. Thank you so much.
Yes. She's coming home, you guys, and friends of Toki, just thank you for everything that you guys are doing. We know she's coming home and she's got the best team behind her to make that happen. So thank you, all of you. We'll see you next week. You guys have a beautiful week.
Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut.
过程，得了写了这，为了